Hi, everyone.
Hello. Page 689 of In Search of Christian Freedom. Ray is coming down to the end of his chapter, A Congregation of Free People. And here he takes up elders in the Christian community. The most basic term relating to direction within a congregation is that of elder. In the biblical languages, the word simply means older person. It would be a mistake to think that the concept of eldership is something inherently tied in with religion. Actually, it is perhaps the oldest form of community direction known in history. In biblical times, Egypt, Moab, Midian, Gibeon all had their elders who acted representatively for the families or communities of their residents. When Israel settled in Canaan, every city and village had its elders serving in similar manner. They are not depicted as some kind of a standing body of administrators functioning continually in an official way. Rather, they were evidently simply respected individuals who were available whenever the need arose, ready when called upon to render assistance in dealing with difficulties or problems, either on behalf of an individual or on behalf of the community as a whole.
There is nothing to show that there was any mode of appointing the Israelite elders in an organizational sense. No king, no priest appointed them as elders, nor that they were viewed as occupying an office. The absence of any evidence for this would seem to indicate that it was instead simply a matter of a man's being esteemed by the community as a person manifesting mature wisdom and judgment, and being recognized or acknowledged as such by those who were already counted as among the community's elders. He was viewed as an elder primarily as a result of what he was as a person. The whole of the matter is reflective of the attitude of respect and deference shown in those times to persons of age and experience, whether in the family or in the community.
When Christian communities formed, a similar pattern of direction and help came into effect. True, we read of Paul and Barnabas appointing elders in various cities they visited, and Paul's instructing Titus to appoint elders. And the New English Bible says institute elders in places throughout Crete. The Theological Dictionary of the New Testament, however, says with regard to Acts 14:23, in secular Greek, presbyteros simply meant senior man, at least outside Egypt. Just possibly, Luke understood it in this way in Acts 14:23. If he did, then Paul appointed some elders to a particular responsibility, not some people to the position of elder.
Whatever the case, these are special circumstances and involved apostolic authority, exercised either directly or through a delegate, as in Titus's case, an authority no longer existent. It is certain that not all elders in all places came to be such by personal visitation of apostles or apostolic representatives, and there is nothing whatsoever said as to eldership even being conferred by correspondence in Christian times. Their becoming such, then, evidently was the result of their being locally esteemed as persons of mature judgment and wisdom, resulting in their being acknowledged or recognized as elder brothers by those with whom they congregated. And as the source just quoted suggests, in such case, any appointment was not to become an elder, but an appointing of one already an elder to render some particular service within the congregation.
Thus, arrangements in Bible times seem to have followed very natural lines. Christians are presented as a brotherhood with a family-like atmosphere. In a family where the head of the house, in this case Christ, is away, the older sons of the family would generally be charged with caring for the household. Their duty would be to serve the family in a helpful and protective way by representing faithfully the absent head, but never to act as if they were the head themselves. They would not advance their own will or establish rules of their own making, but instead would faithfully remind the other members of the household of that which the head had given them in the way of counsel, instructions, or standards to be followed.
In any group of people who gather as Christian believers today, there will reasonably be persons who are respected as showing mature judgment and wisdom, and who, as the occasion calls for it, can respond to the requests or personal needs of an individual, or can act on behalf of the group as a whole in matters of concern. Formal appointment is not set forth in Scripture as in any way essential. The very family-like arrangement portrayed in Scripture would seem to weigh against such formality.
And he has a footnote. It says, few realize that both the Hebrew term zakem, that is the term for elder, and the Greek term presbyteros correspond in meaning to the Arabic sheikh or sheikh, the Latin senator, and the Anglo-Saxon alderman, all of them meaning basically older man. I have to say somewhat dismayed by, he seems to be fighting all the way along the line to get away from the idea of an official.
Any kind of organization now.
Yeah, so is there an official capacity? Is there an official appointment? We said in the prior segment that he's avoiding the fact that in the 2nd century, in churches that were founded by apostles, there were clergy, and that sometimes they were supported by the congregation, as indeed Paul says the congregation should support. He says, do not apostles have a right to support? And then he says the same as, at least about teaching elders, that there was financial support for those who needed to be liberated from. So there was an official capacity, which I kind of think even the alderman and these other cultural references, alderman, senator.
Those were official positions in those cultures.
And in cultures where you hear those words, alderman and senator, you think of an official position first. Yeah. And you hope that it's being executed in the way that Ray thinks that it should be in a family-like setting. But of course we're not in, most of us, in a family-like setting. We're in a larger context in cities and provinces and states and nation-states.
I don't know what he would do with the description that is given of qualifications. Why would there be qualifications if it's just a matter of, well, he's very mature, I should go to him and talk to him? You wouldn't need qualifications then set out.
And then of course we just blithely passed by the laying on of hands principle. We've talked about that now a couple of times, which is very much there in the New Testament, which is an official recognition by the group. And then there's the gender issue, i.e., if it's just a matter of going to those who are wise, then women would be elders, would they not? But they're plainly not in the New Testament.
And if we're going to say that it was only the apostles that had official positions, and then when they died, things were supposed to just go into this kind of family-like thing where everybody just met and listened to one another, I don't know if it's growing. If it's a growing concern, I don't see how that would really work. I mean, even within families where the father is the head of the family, if there's troubles, if there's problems with the children, say, even though they recognize maybe their father as mature, there's still going to be some resistance. It's not going to be an automatic, like everything goes smoothly. There's going to be resistance when people are of a certain mind about something they're doing.
And the elders in Israel were charged with disciplinary function as well. And unless that was official, then you can see how the dynamics of family life would break down the authority within the local community. So where's the discipline in the New Testament church? Well, somebody has to administer it.
Yeah. And it won't be always accepted like in a family. It won't always be just immediately, oh well, it's because he's mature that I'm going to accept this. I don't know, it's not realistic, I don't think.
It's idealistic for sure.
Yeah.
And we could say that it's been tried. In Protestant circles, this has been tried. The Brethren, the Plymouth Brethren, are famous for refusing to have a clergy-laity distinction and have a paid clergy. But after 100 or 120 years, that started to break down. it became stagnant and there was no room for growth. With modern, the pace of modern life, it became impracticable for brethren communities to keep going with no people in official positions of teaching. It just
even
broke down.
though their heart was in the right place, the thing that ends up being left to the end, and you don't want that to be, is the spiritual things that you're going to be giving to your congregation or to your group, because you have to get other things done. You just financially, you have to take care of your family.
Yeah, and that was recognized by Paul himself in Thessalonians and Timothy, that there would be those who would need to spend a lot of time teaching, and you would need to support them financially. And that I don't see that being acknowledged here. So we wanted to link to a functioning version of this in the Old Testament, where Moses is actually counseled by his father-in-law to delegate more responsibility to those who are officially now recognized as elders. And that's just before Mount Sinai, in Exodus chapters 18 and 19. So we'll put that link on your screen. And next time, Ray finishes off this chapter, A Congregation of Free People, with an international community.